Oh my God, I've got all the dirt. I know where all the bodies are. I was very much the T-boy for a very long time.
So we would basically, instead of saying cash grabber, we would say gash grabber.
You started broadcasting at 12.
Well, we can't have you because you're a child. Yeah, I was just like, not going to have that. Yeah, I'm a capital presenter. Like, that's still mad to me every day. And radio is, for some reason, full of gay men. But none of them, well, not none of them, but very, very few of them are their true, authentic selves on the air. And when I say it was brutal, it was so brutal. Like, we don't talk like that really now about other people. You need to get to know me, and a big part of me is that I'm gay or that I'm married to a guy, but it's not the only thing you're going to know about me. In a completely happy accident way, I just so happen to live in this time that I can be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do that. So it's amazing, you know, and to get those messages. Oh, hi, I saw Josh having an argument with his husband in Matalan at the weekend. You're like, oh, shit, your name did, actually. I still rank my favourite ever guest we've had on the show as Alison Steadman, a.k.a. Pam from Gavin and Stacey. I'm like, right. So Ollie absolutely hates toenails. So I was like, I'm a grow mine and I'm a cum.
I'm a gross.
This is so gross. I can't believe I'm saying this. Be you, don't be afraid to be you, and never, ever give up.
Hello and welcome to Becoming Lucy with me, Hannah.
And me, Lucy. So today we've got a super exciting guest. You might know his voice. He's a radio presenter, voiceover artist, and TV continuity announcer, and an all-round and amazing talent.
Well done for saying that word, Luce.
Thank you.
So for those who may not know, Josh co-hosts the popular Josh and Callie Drive Time show on Capital FM, which is across the whole of Wales. And he's known for his energy, quick wit, and incredible listener connection. Although I will say when we worked together, I didn't get any of that.
Shut up.
But beyond the mic, he is someone who has hid part of himself for many years.
And just a heads up, listeners, today we're diving into that journey from hiding in plain sight to being unapologetically himself. This isn't just a radio story, it's a human one. So, Josh, thank you for joining us. But before we go deeper, tell us a little bit more about how you and Hannah know each other.
Oh my God, I've got all the dirt. I know where all the bodies are. Firstly, thanks for the lovely intro. I don't get to sit this side of things very often, so it's actually weird for me. So Hannah and I go, God, way back. Further than we probably want to say because we'll reveal our ages. But radio is what links us. I started doing some work experience at a local radio station called Plymouth Sound, which, guess what, was in Plymouth. And we met kind of working for the street team, the promotions team for the radio station. So we were out doing events together in the radio station. We hit it off straight away. I was doing hospital radio at that time as well. Quickly involved Hannah. We both just had a shared love for radio, but also a shared love for having a good time and messing about. So there's probably about 40% work and 60% fun. So yeah, there's plenty of stories that I'm more than happy to share, Luce. Like,
I can't wait
but it's
to
just
hear
how much
them.
you want to know.
It's mad though, because like I'm obviously out of that industry now, have been for a long time, but it's always been like a passion. I feel really like proud of all the sort of work that we did back then for like that local radio station and the opportunities we got. Do you know what I mean? We've hosted things together on stage. We did the what's that road traffic one that we always remember.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of school kids, and we had to like host a show, but in between the energetic show they would play like road collision accidents to basically try and tell these like 15-year-olds to not drive like dicks. We had to run on and be like all the energetic, do games and run in the audience and get them all hyped, and then they would just come crashing down with these videos. And then we did one in a school, didn't we? I don't even know what we did there. We hosted something at a school.
I think it was some weird talent show. I think they just basically, when we were up and coming at the radio station and probably the on-air presenters didn't want to do stuff, they'd be like, we'll just send those two because they'll turn up to the opening of a letter. And we did. Like, we'd just go to anything. We probably weren't very good. I mean, to speak for myself. But we had a go. And I think it's where, you cut your teeth. And yeah, there were a lot of very good presenters at that radio station at Plymouth Sound at that time. But I think, yeah, we picked up the dregs, didn't we, Han? We picked up
did.
How old were you guys then at this point?
Well, Hannah would have been 50. I would have been about 18. I must have started I started at Plymouth Sound when I was about 13, sort of sitting in on the shows. And then I think I started working for the street team about 14, 15. I mean, they literally used to give me cash in an envelope at the beginning because I really shouldn't have been working there.
No, and you were known as the T-boy.
I was very much the T-boy for a very long time, which was totally the best way to start in any industry. Find out how everyone has their tea and just make them tea and sit and bother them. And try not to get in the way too much. But
it was great fun though, wasn't it? It was.
Oh my God,
And I mean, I'm going to share this quick story, Luce, because it is really funny.
We
was part of the promotion team. So we were part of the Black Thunder team. And we had this task, let's put it, I can't remember what they bloody used to call it. We used to have to go to a supermarket and it was called the cash grabber. So, on Crystal Maze where you go in there as part of the activity and you've got to grab all the cash.
Oh, right.
So we had that in a supermarket and it was a promotion for something. We did so many different promotions. And anyway, we got a bit bored of doing it. So then we would be saying to people, they would like walk past this promotion, and obviously part of our job is to be like, hi, like, do you want to have a go, like, get the engagement, all that normal stuff, basically selling. So we would basically, instead of saying cash grabber, we would say gash grabber and see if anyone noticed. So we'd be like, do you want to get yourself in the gash grabber? And they'd be like, yeah, okay. And then we just kept saying it, and we worked with Joe and Shah as well. So the four of us were just a nightmare together, and we would just act up. But we'd also always get good results. We'd always get lots of people talking about us in a positive way. We'd also always get asked back. We always got asked back, didn't we?
Just about. I mean, that's what I was saying about it being 40% work and 60% fun. But like, I can't believe we used to get paid for some of the stuff that we did. And to be honest, even today, I still can't believe I get paid to pretty much do what I do, like as a hobby. But it is that kind of industry where if you're not having fun, you're probably not doing the job right. Like, and let's be honest, messing about and creating, some fun between you on the team, that's the same in any industry, is it not? Like, just having fun and getting the job done and enjoying yourself and then making a buzz, because our job was to promote the radio station. And so many radio people have started on those street teams, on those event teams, because it's the easiest way in the door to just get a job there,
And when I moved into like the travel presenting, I did miss like being out and about. Like I was obviously in the studio, and it was a great like step up. And I went on to present the travel and all that, and it was great and whatnot. I had that element of fun was taken away because I wasn't part of the street team anymore. Do you know? But yeah, anyway,
prepares you like that, Hannah. I mean, Hannah knows if you're out meeting the listeners before you get to be on the air, you know who you're talking to then. And I think it's so invaluable this day and age to have been able to go out and meet the audience. You go out and speak to people, and your job is to get them to like the radio station. Then when you end up on the air one day and your job is to be the other side, you kind of know, you've got an image in your head of, that's who listens to us. And that's, and that's also how you get a bit of a following as well. That's how you build, people
Noted,
who are
Hannah,
interested.
you're going to be pushing me around in a wheelchair in the streets.
Literally.
We have come up with these ideas, but the dynamics haven't worked yet.
I remember at a supermarket once though, someone was like, I recognise your voice, and I was like, oh yeah, like I work on like Plymouth Sound Radio, and they were like, what do you do? And I was like, I do like live links when I'm at different sort of events and stuff, and now I like do the travel. And she was like, oh, I knew I recognised your voice, and it was like a little buzz. And when we were doing these like hosting these shows and stuff, like we were standing up live on stage, presenting and hosting, where anything could go wrong. And I think again, when you're younger, the fear is taken away from you. Like I feel like if I was to do that now, I would have to have a few like herbal tablets to calm me down. Do you know what I mean?
Ground yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So getting into obviously the knit and grit of it. So you mentioned you started broadcasting at 12. So tell us more about that. Where did the ambition come from?
It's a great question. I wanted to do radio since pretty much as long as I can remember, which is so weird. And also I feel so lucky because so many people don't know what they want to do, but I knew what I wanted to do. And there was never a question in my mind that I wasn't going to do it. And there was never any doubt that I wouldn't do that as a job. And I think when it first clicked, I think I remember being about 8 years old, and my auntie, she had a karaoke machine in her basement, right? She had like a games room in her basement. And I picked it up and I think I sang and thought, that was shit. That's not for me. And then I just started talking, and I just remember thinking, oh, I like this. Like, I like the sound of my own voice. Surprise, surprise. And I liked it. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of me. What job is that? And I thought, is it a stand-up comedian? Is it a host? Like, what is it? And I remember going on the school bus, and Chris Moyles used to host the Radio 1 breakfast show.
Yeah.
I remember listening to it on the school bus and thinking, I remember joining those dots and being like, he's doing what I liked, that little buzz I got from speaking into a microphone. And then I obsessed over that radio show. And I remember my mum saying to me, well, what do you want to do when you're older? And I was like, I want to do radio. I want to be a radio presenter. And I think she was like, okay. And then I bought like every book from pretty much every well-known presenter. And what I noticed was all of them started, you're talking Chris Evans, your Chris Moyles, Scott Mills, all those people that I would look up to at that age and still do, all started at hospital radio. So I was like, well, there you go. That's what I need to do then. Get online, find it, go there, wrote them a letter. I think I was just turning 12 when I wrote them a letter, and they invited me in, and they said, well, we can't have you because you're a child. Yeah, I was just like, not going to have that. And I was like, well, all these other presenters started young, like, and they were like, insurance and health and safety, these things didn't exist maybe when your Chris Evans, were coming through.
Yeah.
I remember saying, well, what can I do to get you to change your mind? And they were like, well, all you could do maybe is bring an adult with you. I said to my mum, can you come with me? And she was like, well, not really, because she had a job and she was a single mum to me and my brother. And then my granny stepped forward, Lil.
Granny Lil.
She's such
She's
a legend in my
famous.
life.
She is.
We did make her famous later on. And she said she used to work at the hospital, and she was like, I'll come with you. And she'd not long retired, and she was like, well, where do I want to go back? To where I used to work? Sure. But God love her, she did. And then I had to have an adult with me, I think till I was maybe 15 or 16, maybe at the hospital
and when
radio.
I came, you didn't have to worry about it because I was 40 years older than you anyway.
Yeah, yeah. That was essentially what happened.
The thing with hospital radio, though, is like it's an element that I always forget I did because, like you said, you sort of brought me in and we did it together. And Jamie, God love him, he will love listening to this episode as well, won't he? By the way,
shout out to Jamie.
Shout out to Jamie. But like on hospital radio, we interviewed Tom Daly. We interviewed Sheridan Smith. Like we interviewed people from Blue Peter, so
we had
it's mad.
I think
we didn't have that stuff up here in Cheshire and Manchester. I'm telling you, I was in hospital a lot as a kid, and we just had some old 60-year-old bloke like, and today
it's gone downhill, Luce. It's gone downhill since we did it. I think those celebrities have a certain soft spot for it. I mean, Hannah's right. You would get those names, largely thanks to our producer Jamie, actually, who would book them because you could just play on their heartstrings a little bit and be like, we do a show for sick kids in hospital. Who's turning that down? Do you know what I mean? Who's turning that down? No one, no celebrity. So you could do that. And it wasn't about celebrity. It was actually about cutting your teeth and learning how to do radio, because where better to learn how to do radio than on a radio station that not many people are listening to, and they can't change the dial either. So you're kind of like, you've got a captive audience there.
They just have to listen to us. But it's mad though when you think about the calibre of celebrities. Like,
oh my God,
Tom Daly, we interviewed him at hospital radio, me, Josh and Jamie. Like, and
we did all sorts.
Yeah, and back there we didn't have like content. So I'm gutted really, because there's loads of stuff that we've done on the radio. Imagine if we had like photos and videos and stuff of it now. People wouldn't believe it.
It's changed so much. I'm sure, we might come on to it. But when I first started in radio to what I'm doing now, it's a completely different ballgame. Like I shared something on my socials last week that it was 20 years ago last week that I walked in the door at hospital radio.
I saw that.
I'm 32 now. So like when I say it's my life, like I'm actually terrified because I don't know what else to do. Like and it won't last forever. So I'm like, just enjoy it while it lasts. You know what I mean? But I'm on a good run, so we'll just see what happens. But from hospital radio, I then went to work for Plymouth Sound, which was the radio station we mentioned earlier, where Hannah and I met and then crossed paths and became friends. And then from there, I worked for Heart, which is a massive brand. And I worked sort of behind the scenes in that, in events and promotions, and became a sort of manager of that sort of thing when I was about like 19. And I in fact, it was younger than that. I was doing my A-levels, my AS levels at sixth form. And then the radio station said, do you want to come and work for us full time as a promotions and events manager, like 5 days a week? And, you know, it was mad. It was like a company car and like a phone. And like, I'm 17. And I applied to uni and I deferred it for a year. I remember saying to my parents, like, let me leave early. And I'd done my AS levels. And you're allowed to leave school, obviously, then at 16. Obviously, now you've got to stay till 18, haven't you? And I said to my head of sixth form, look, I've done my AS levels. Can I keep doing my A levels? And he was like, well, yeah, as long as you do the work, email us, come in when you can. Well, I mean, I couldn't because I took a full-time job at a radio station, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and I couldn't quite believe it. And I did my A levels at the weekend over email and like catching up my friends and stuff. And I did them alongside for that first year, and I thought it was mad. But I was like, well, I've started it, so I'm going to finish it. And I'm still waiting to go back to uni.
And I think that just proves the drive and the passion that you had for the job, though, because like you said, you started at 12 years old and you were using your free time to go into radio to sort of carve yourself this career. So at 17 having that role, that doesn't surprise me, like that you got that because you had already had the experience, you had built yourself a name, and who else better to do that role. But I can understand where that kind of wildness comes from, where you're like, and then at weekends I was doing my work, and in the week I was doing a job like I was this 29-year-old, you know, like.
And you've got your parents as well, right? At that age, you're so heavily influenced by your parents, and you know that was unheard of for them. So you know, I think they just kind of hoped I would go to uni and stuff, and then obviously I didn't. But then I progressed, and I was sort of like, as soon as it goes wrong, you know, as soon as it's not working out, I'll go to uni. Ironically, to study like media and broadcasting, probably. That's what I deferred. But then I sort of moved into production, moved into become a show producer for Heart, and worked on Heart Breakfast, which covered the southwest of England, which was an amazing opportunity. I did that for about 6 years. And then I moved to Capital then in Cardiff, and I was hosting weekends and covering all the shows. You know, I got my own weekend show, which was like, I think I got my own weekend show maybe at 22, something like that. I just couldn't really believe it, you know. And I remember them offering when my boss at Capital, a guy called Neil, who you will remember, Hannah, as Greg James's producer Neil from Radio 1, he became my boss at Capital. Even talking to somebody like that one for the radio gigs, he's my boss now, and he'd given me this opportunity. When they offered me my first show on Capital, they said, we want you to do Saturday and Sundays. And I was like, yeah, that's great. But I'd be working 7 days a week because I was also producing the breakfast show for Heart in the Southwest. I'm like, well, I've got this 2-day-a-week offer in Cardiff, and I've got this 5-day-a-week offer in the Southwest. And, you know, what can I do? And in the end, I managed to persuade them to just give it to me on Saturdays, because I was like, I can't work 7 days a week, you know, because I was up at 4:30 in the morning, starting work at, 4:30 in the morning for the breakfast show. So, yeah, it was a mad one, but I made it work for a few years until eventually they gave me Drive Time, which is the weekday show in the afternoons. And I got a co-host, my amazing co-host, Callie. I've been doing that show now and then I moved to Cardiff, and I've been doing that show for just over 8 years now, which is mad, really. It's gone so quickly. But so hopefully that's a quick version.
Yeah.
Well, I'm knackered hearing that, to be honest.
Sorry, it's a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I am curious, because obviously you've had a very successful career, and obviously you've moved through the past, but I know there is parts of you that you have kept hidden, obviously in between that, and there were certain parts that you felt really safe to show, but which parts did you took away within yourself between that?
So I have grown up with many presenters, male presenters, who I either know in person, and Hannah will know some of the people I'm talking about, and it's not right to mention them, or some celebrity presenters. I think I'd be okay to mention Scott Mills. I don't know Scott Mills, but he's someone I massively look up to. Amazing presenter, and has been for my whole life, who weren't openly gay. And it was, and everybody, you got to remember, I've been the baby for so long. You know, I started so young. So I was so young for so long, if that makes sense. And radio is, for some reason, full of gay men, but none of them, well, not none of them, but very, very few of them are their true authentic selves on the air. And there's a lot of presenters who I really look up to, who I would find out years later were also gay. But it was just very much this culture of it is not the done thing to be openly out on air. Or if you were, that was your thing. That was your personality. You know, my biggest ick, if you like, is sort of like in real life. Like if you're in a friendship group and someone's like, "Oh, Josh is the gay one," I'm like, there's a lot more to me than that. And that's like me saying like, yeah, I'm gay. That's fine. We can talk about that too. But you wouldn't say, "Oh, Hannah's the straight one in the friendship group." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time what had existed in the media, maybe as I was growing up, was people who were so camp, and so that was their whole act, you know. So wonderful, and some of my favorite presenters are like that, and that's hilarious and that's amazing, but that's also not me. So I was kind of like, where I fit. And I look at all these presenters who've done very, very well, and they're not out on the air. That's what I did, right? You know, I'm looking up to, since I was 8 or 9 years old, a lot of these presenters. I'm thinking, well, okay, and also you're trying to figure things out yourself, right? You don't. And I think what I got good at was I moved when I was younger. My dad, when my parents were still together, was in the police, and he moved us around a lot. And I went to 6 different primary schools. So what that allowed me to do was really work out very quickly how to fit in and how to be popular, if I'm being honest. And what I learned was the things to turn up and the things to turn down. And I think then what happens is you don't actually get closeness with many people, because you're always the funny one, you're always the interesting one, or you sort of divert away from things. So I think I worked out how to do that on radio, as so many ahead of me did. And that's not a dig or a slight at them. Times were different then.
Yeah.
You know, look at someone like Philip Schofield. He was on Kids TV. Now, I very nearly ended up on Kids TV, but that's a story for another day. But they were told, you know, you want little girls to fancy you. Do you know what I mean? Like and that kind of felt like that in radio as well. I have I've come from a time where it was not okay to be openly gay on air, to say my boyfriend or my husband or whatever, not on mainstream radio. All of that has changed, thankfully. All of that has changed.
Obviously, it's just so much to unpack, because I'm just reviewing our friendship in my head, and I'm reviewing our working relationship, and I'm going back all those years, and I'm thinking, we didn't even talk about that. And we didn't even have a conversation about, you know, relationships or anything like that. You were just you at the time, and I had no idea that you were gay. And I kind of figured it over the years. And then I saw over time that you'd met Ollie and fallen in love and all that kind of stuff. But still to this day, this is the first time that you physically said it in this space. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And that makes so much sense with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I just learned, and it wasn't through fear of being judged, because when you're on the air every day, you put so much of your life out there, and so many of your opinions, because you want a reaction from the audience, right? I'm not scared of being judged. What I was scared of was not getting the gig, was not getting the job. Now, you know, I looked back on some old emails the other day from when I mentioned Kids TV there. Some stuff I'd done with an agent I was with at the time. And this was like, I think it was maybe like 2000 and, must have been about 2009, something like that, 2008, 2009. And I looked at the feedback I was sent from a very high up executive at a big broadcaster, a big TV broadcaster, which had gone to my agent, and she had written in the email, she said, "This is for your eyes only, but here's some feedback on Josh." And he just forwarded it straight to me. And when I say it was brutal, it was so brutal. Like, we don't talk like that really now about other people, about people's appearance, about the way people talk. And like literally, I read it a couple of weeks ago because basically it was clearing out my email. And I thought, oh, well, this will be fun to look at. And I was like, whoa, I was immediately taken right back there. I was like, God, that's how we were spoken about or spoken, you know. It's difficult because it is triggering now to look at that. And you wanted to be like the perfect person for that TV role or that radio role. So you're acting, right? I'm what I'm choosing to do. I remember bosses saying to me, you look at your personality and you choose to turn up parts of it that we like and you turn down parts of it that we don't like. So that's kind of where it came from. It was always about, for me, getting the gig and being like, I'm the right person for the gig. And being gay was what I thought in my head would have held me back from getting the gig. Or I would have been given a token role as the third person on the show that's like, oh, he's the gay one, you know, and it's like, no, that's never what I wanted to do.
And was there a moment where you just went, kind of like our last episode, like, fuck it, like a comment, or you just went, that's a turning point, this is it? Do you know what I mean? This is Josh.
Yeah. So when I was producing in the Southwest, it was never about me. I was a character on the show that I produced with the two presenters, and they used to throw to me and I would be out doing stuff. I was a voice on the show, but it was not about me. And when I got my own show on Capital, going back well over 10 years now, I thought, well, that show is my show with my name on it. And that's when I will slowly test the water and start to be me. So there wasn't a fuck it moment because I had to test the water. I had to dip my toe. Yeah, I had to dip my toe. So you had to start, you might say, oh, blah, 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 my partner. And you might use a non-gender, so you slowly sort of do those things. And now, I mean, God, we're 10 years on and, it's absolutely nothing. However, my biggest thing goes back to when I mentioned the presenters I grew up with, someone like Scott Mills. I completely understand it was a totally different time. Completely understand that. But I really want to be the guy that I needed to be at that age, hearing someone who is doing a good job, is successful-ish, is the main person presenting a main show, that his entire personality isn't that he's gay, that he does a great job as a presenter. But, oh, guess what? I'm pretty sure that guy just mentioned his husband. Like, this guy we listen to every day. Oh, he's gay. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I aspire to do without ramming it down people's throats. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that makes so much sense. And I think the way that you've sort of delivered that over the years and when you were doing your own show is good for you because you weren't putting your full self out there straight away, because that would have been that fear of rejection again. It would have been triggering. Completely. It would have been like, well, I've got this gig now. If I bring my whole self to the table, they might take it apart from me. However, you were there also thinking about younger people looking up to you and, like you said, wanting to be that for someone. And when you do think of someone like Scott Mills, who I'm also a massive fan of.
Oh, he's amazing.
plug. Hi, Scott. But no, I think it is mad when you listen back to him as well and how he's very much open about his husband and stuff nowadays.
Yep.
But for years and years, again, you guessed it, you figured it, but it's such a shame that he couldn't just be himself.
And I bet you, that was the time. Yeah,
and in the industry, it's the main industry to be gay, really, isn't it? Because it's obviously the industry is wild, it's great, it's obviously flamboyant, it's creative. So it's really, really strange that there's like an unwritten rule almost that you cannot say that you're gay.
And that's the thing, like no boss. I mean, I've had experiences when I was a producer on the other side where you would sort of hear back end chat, but no boss has ever said to me, you can't be yourself. It was all internal. It was all my bosses have been nothing but amazing and supportive, and most of them are gay, by the way. But my point is, they've always it's internal because you're putting yourself out there to a large audience, right? And that is scary, but it's not anymore. But I've had older presenters come to me who are older gay men, women, and say, oh, I love the way you are on air. Like, I couldn't do that. I can't do that. And I'm like, wow, I've looked up to you my whole career. And now you're telling me there's something I do. And look, if you listen to my show, I just talk as a friend would down the pub. If I'm telling you a story and it involves Ollie, my husband, or it involves a crush I've got, or I was doing a link yesterday about, we're talking about weird crushes, and I went, Callie, my co-host, said, you fancied Rishi Sunak in lockdown. I was like, oh my God, I did not. But that's just part of a normal everyday conversation, right? It's not me being like, hi everyone, here's your daily reminder, I'm the gay one. Do you know what I mean? It's just, if I'm asking, it's organic. And if I'm asking my audience to share their stories with me, and I really want to get to know the audience, you need to get to know me. And a big part of me it is that I'm gay or that I'm married to a guy, but it's not the only thing you're going to know about me. So, the first thing we do when we become friends, like, Lucy, I've not met you before, but you were emailing me, this week, and like, I got catfish. Like, I'm interested.
Oh, that's gone deep.
We've got an episode about this, don't worry.
Okay, I'll be listening. But my point is, you want to start to know somebody, and the first sort of thing you really want to know is kind of like, what are you into, right? Who are you into? Are you single? Are you married? Are you not? Are you got kids? Have you not? So if I'm going to hold that back from an audience that I talk to 5 days a week, in my opinion, I'm not doing my job right. How can you say you enjoy listening to Josh and Callie on Capital if you don't know about Josh? It doesn't make sense to me.
People are naturally nosy, though, aren't they? This is what I'm learning a lot. And obviously, I've been doing a bit of networking and stuff like that. And this isn't really a business with podcasts, but that's what they're saying a lot. It's like people want to know more about your daily lives. People want to know what's going on.
It's the more authentic you can be. I think people can see right through it. And this is why content creators that do well are the ones that are truly authentic. And radio is such a personal medium. We're in their cars, we're in their headphones, we're literally in their ears when they're doing a workout, or they might have had the shittest day, and then they get in the car and they listen to you, and you're so personal. And that's why on radio we never say like, hi guys, or hello everyone. It's always, hey, how you doing, how was your day, let's get this song on for you. Oh, it's cold today, wrap up warm. We're talking to you, one person, even though at times you're talking to hundreds of thousands of people, but we want it to be a personal medium. So you want it to
before. It's weird.
You'll notice
now.
Well, it's that relatability, isn't it? And even though we can't even say the word, but that's what's going to make us relatable. But it's definitely that. And we were saying when we were talking about this pod and we were sort of putting it together, we wanted it to be perfectly unpolished. We really didn't care if we were saying things wrong or whatever. Obviously not offensive, but we didn't mind. And we want it to be a little bit all over the place, because that also embodies our personalities. We are both frigging chaotic, which you'll know about me, Josh, and you're probably quickly learning that about Luce as well.
I can see why your friends put it that way.
And obviously you've talked a lot about not having that role model and not having someone to look up to, and you've sort of shaped your career and shaped your show and brought your true self to the table, which is fantastic. And you have and are going to have people looking up to you right now. Do you think sort of these young sort of aspiring presenters realise how lucky they are to listen to someone like you? Or do you think that now the conversation is so open, which it should be, that it's just sort of normal that they're hearing someone talk about the relationship, whether it's gay, straight, asexual? Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right. I think it's, I'm not by any stretch saying, I've moved the needle on in any way. But my point is, had I chosen to follow in the footsteps of a lot of the people I looked up to before and just continued to hide that part of me on air, then we'd still be kind of where we are. Another generation would come through, might look up to me and go, well, Josh is gay and married to a guy, but he never mentions it on air, so I better do the same, and so on and so on and so on. So I think, that's important. I think the world has changed. I just think we're so lucky to be here now at this time. I mean, one thing I would that really hit me the other day, I was looking back on a TikTok that I'd posted. You mentioned at the beginning, I do TV continuity, where I introduce the TV shows on BBC One and BBC Two for viewers in Wales. And it's such a fun job. It's amazing. It's just a freelance thing I do. And I think it was last Christmas, I went into BBC Breakfast at 6:00. I posted this on TikTok and I said, welcome to Wednesday, the 6th of December here on BBC One. It's day 6 on your advent calendar. Enjoy your chocolate. Not that I would know. My husband didn't get me one this year. Time for breakfast now. And then we went into breakfast, BBC Breakfast.
Yeah.
And I put that on TikTok and I tagged Ollie, my husband, and said, get me an advent calendar as a joke, and it absolutely blew up on TikTok.
Wow.
Like I just fully didn't expect it. And I had like Lad Bible offering to like, or Unilab, one of them offering to like buy it. And can we have it? And I was like, no. And it was all because, and the comments I got on there are a mixture of like homophobic abuse, obviously.
No.
Completely to the other way. For every like one comment like that, there were like 5 that were like, oh my God, the BBC guy mentioning he's got a husband, like this is amazing. And like young people on TikTok messaging me being like, you don't know how much that meant to hear that, and like,
Oh.
let me say, not many people are watching BBC One at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, there are, but it's not prime time. Do you know what I mean? It's not like when we do a Saturday night or whatever. But that on TikTok got way more viewers than it would have when it went out on the telly. But the messages I got from young people, like hundreds of messages about it, being like, the fact that you were just open about yourself on there on the BBC, which let's be honest, the BBC is, very open organisation. But I think because continuity is such that serious voice of, we literally say now the news at 10 on BBC One, So it's like all of a sudden I've lifted back the curtain. But my point is I did it in a completely contextual way. I wasn't like, to celebrate Pride, we're doing. I just went and my husband didn't get me one. In the same way I would say it to a mate in the pub. And I think how amazing that we live in a time that my boss came right in and was like, I've seen your TikTok, like, that's blowing up. Like, that's amazing. And you're like, see, the people who came before me, well, I mean, there would have been not necessarily at the BBC, but they just wouldn't have been, it would not have happened. It would not have been able to happen. I am like the first lot. In a way, in a completely happy accident way, I just so happen to live in this time that I can be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do that. So it's amazing, and to get those messages, then you go, yeah, okay, that's where I did it. And then every other link that I've done since on the telly, well, I've not mentioned that I'm gay. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing my job. But on that day, the context for that link was, I'm going to mention my husband, and it added the sass to it. I was like, my husband hasn't got me one. And yeah, it just, where it's relevant.
Worked.
It works. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And obviously you talked about being nosy and Ollie as well. And we've even got the sausage dog Pickle, haven't we, in your
I'm so
family life?
stereotypical. I mean, honestly, a husband and a little dog. I mean, as if I'm, I am every stereotype you can think of.
But how does that influence support at home? Obviously, that's kind of summed it up, really, isn't it? That you're mixing it in with the TV continuity, which I've been practicing that word very much all week. But again, there's so much to celebrate. I mean, you've got your influence back at home. They're supporting you, but the fun aspect I think I want to go into and being nosy, which we went back to, is you had your wedding in New York as well. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, I did,
tell us a bit more about that. Let's go a little bit more into
where's my invite, by the way?
Ollie and Pickle.
It's in the post. I think the really interesting thing about me and Ollie is, what I love about Ollie is he doesn't give a shit about any of this, like at all. And that's amazing. Like, he works in nothing to do with this. And he's actively freaked out by any sort of spotlight or attention, which is great because it leaves it all for me. I am actually not outside of work. Like, I'm on all the time at work. So I'm kind of like outside of work. Like, I'm actually pretty chilled. But he is a really great support network because he doesn't give a shit. So therefore, all the stuff I stress about and all the things that I'm like, thinking about or content ideas or whatever, it's not interesting to him. So that's really refreshing. What's funny with Ollie is, because I've been doing this job a long time, Hannah mentioned at the beginning, you sometimes get recognised by people when we're out and about. And because I live in Wales and I've got this English accent, I get recognised by my voice quite a lot because I do stand out here. And now in this world of social media, people know what you look like. Everybody knows what you look like. They film us every day and push us out on socials every day. I moved to Cardiff and we're on the back of buses, so and we're on billboards, and it's amazing, but all of a sudden people know what you look like. And what happens is people don't necessarily come over and say hi. You get a text or you get a WhatsApp to the radio show 3 weeks later, and they say, oh, hi, I saw Josh having an argument with his husband in Matalan at the weekend. And you're like, oh, shit, yeah, no, you did, actually. So you have to be like a little bit conscious about that. So Ollie doesn't love that side of it, I'll be honest.
Do you ever get people like filming you and stuff when you're not looking?
Yeah, somebody not so long ago, people will do that, yeah, but normally, like, the thing people want to do is come over and say hi. And if you've taken the time, or you follow the radio show or the radio station, if you've taken the time to watch something or see what we look like, you like it. So 98% of experiences are positive. If you're like a newsreader on the telly, people just watch the news, not for the newsreader. So like, if you walk down the street, they'll be like, oh, it's the newsreader. But everyone knows what they look like. But my point is, if you have taken the time to watch something of ours, or you've turned up to an event or whatever, chances are you like us. So it's always, it's 99% of the time always a positive experience. Sometimes people are just like, and I love this and it's totally great, but some people are like really, really over familiar with you because they feel like they really know you, because you share every part of your life all the time with them. But then why am I going to be annoyed at that? Because that's what I've asked them to do. I've asked them to listen, and they have. So I'm not going to be like, oh, like, people are sometimes very, and in Wales as well, they're like super lovely. The Welsh people, they're so chatty. So a lot of the time people are like, oh, how's Ol? And I'm like, oh yeah, Ollie, yeah, you don't know him, but of course you do, or like, how's Pickle? That's my dog, or they'll mention something, and it is lovely, but I can't remember what you asked me. So
well, I was actually going to say off the back of that, at the end of the day, you also need to have these interactions and put yourself out there. I shall have no one listening to the show, and then you will panic about what the hell you're going to do, because you've done this for 20 odd years. So you've got to give and take, haven't you? And I think that I think you're probably in a position where you're kind of semi-famous in Wales and for what you do, but not enough to be completely
pestered or I think the phrase is like, not even famous, just like relatively well known. Even just the brand Josh and Callie that I'm in, my co-host, people sort of know that because it's been on air for so long now. They may not even listen to you that often or even know you, but I was out filming something on the weekend just gone, and we were in between, takes filming something, and at a dog's home, which was lovely. It's a charity thing in the run to Christmas, and this volunteer, she came in, and the person who was in charge was saying, oh, Josh and Callie are going to come through and film now. And she's like, Josh and Callie, and she was like, oh, when are they here? This one was like, well, that's them. And she's like, oh my God, I haven't got any makeup on. And oh my God. And she's like, I can't believe it's you. And you're like, yeah, hi. Like, and that's lovely. So my point is, like, she didn't know what we looked like, but just the words, the brand is been existing for a long time. So we're fortunate in that we've just been on a long time. So even if you're not very good, but you've just been on a while, so people just start to know you. In the same way, I knew Phil and Holly presented this morning. I never used to watch it, ever. But do you know what I mean? But I know Phil and Holly present it. I know they don't anymore, but you get my point. They've been on for so long.
Always, Josh. But I think that's the strength of the brand that you've created. And I think that is perfect timing to ask about Callie, because you guys obviously got a really strong bond, a really strong partnership. The banter that you guys have between each other is totally up your street, like we referenced earlier. Yeah. It's all about having fun and all about enjoying yourself. So how important is that partnership been for you to feel safe in that space as well? Because working alongside her, you would have to consider what you were saying and what you were doing would have an impact on her as well. So that's also a really special bond to be able to create and delve into. So tell us a little bit about that.
There's no bond like a presenter, co-host bond, because the trust you have to have is like unlike anything else. And I remember when me and Callie first got offered the show, we'd done some shows together. We had never, well, actually, she'll tell this story differently. I say we met on this certain day, but what I didn't realize is we'd met before, but I just didn't remember her, which is
Josh.
Absolutely brutal. But yeah, she was in the street team, which we mentioned before, working for the radio station, and I was on air. I was a presenter. And she came into the studio with a few others, and I just said, hi, you know. And clearly she was so starstruck. She'll murder me. She will absolutely murder me. But yeah, the first time I remember us meeting was literally when she'd started presenting on air, and my boss, Neil, who I mentioned, said, oh, we need some cover for a rugby outside broadcast for the rugby. Rugby's massive in Wales, and we do shows from the rugby. And he went, Josh, you're going to do it with Callie, who does Sundays. I was like, okay, cool. And we turned up 20 minutes before we were due to go on air. And we were like, so we're doing a show together. How do you want to do it? And my boss was like, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just do. Just go. Just do it. And we instantly hit it off over our shared love of the 1975, the band, randomly. I think I'd just come back from seeing them. And she was like, I love them too. And we were like, okay, so we've got that in common. Now we just need to like build everything else. And from those early links, I knew it was something special. I'd worked on double-headed shows. I'd been a producer of double-headed shows. So I knew what to look out for. I'd co-hosted with other people in that time. I've co-hosted with loads of people. You know, one of them's you, Han.
So I'm second to Callie, by the way.
Oh, yeah, babe, you're first, and then close second is Callie, obviously.
Well, excellent.
Well saved. But I knew there was something there, and I think she did as well. And Callie had come from a music background. She'd been in a band with her sister. She'd been signed to, I think, Sony. She'd supported Girls Aloud on tour. She'd had this, she's had this amazing music.
I want Callie on.
Yeah, you can come on next. You can't afford her, let me tell you. I did this as a favour, which I'm quickly regretting. But she had this amazing music career, and then she went into radio. So we hit it off, and I won't bore you with the details, but I remember from very, very early on, I'd learnt one thing in radio about successful co-hosts, and I said it to Callie, and at that point I'd had a lot more radio experience than Callie because she was in a band, but yet she'd had a lot of media experience because she'd been interviewed a lot. So we were kind of perfect, but I had that geeky producer side, and I remember saying to Callie, I said, the best co-host and how I want to be is bosses, producers, all come and go, but what remains is this duo, is me and you. And if we always have each other's back and never let anybody in between us, we'll always succeed. And we've always stuck by that. Many bosses have come and worked on our show. Producers have come and gone. They all put a little twist on. They all say, try this. They all say, try that. But we, at the core of it, always remain the two of us. And we make decisions jointly. Everything is very sort of thought out in that way. Then in that way, you're such an unbreakable bond, you know. And we've seen each other. We work together for hours every single day, some days 7 days a week. We have been on a run every day in November of working together, where you've got to be funny, you've got to be entertaining, you've got to be high energy. That's hard, right? That's hard because sometimes your bloody nan's ill, or your dad's ill, or you feel like shit or whatever. The other one needs to pick up the other, and sometimes you both feel like shit.
It's a relationship, isn't it? It's literally a relationship.
It's the relationship without the fun bits. We've never had any of the fun bits, so you don't. But which would be weird. But yeah, you have to put on a show every day. So and you help each other in those moments. You're live, and all of a sudden I'll trip over something, or I'll forget a line in a story that I was going to tell, and then the other circles back, and you look at it. We have a shorthand where we can do it with our eyes closed now. We're very lucky in that respect. We can absolutely do it with our eyes closed. I know where she's going. She knows where I'm going. We know what each other wants to get this story out, or to be as funny as we can be in that moment. And yeah, some days it's hard and all you've got to rely on is each other. But for some reason, it just works. And right, when you meet somebody and you go, God, I feel like I've known you my whole life. You know, I love that moment when you meet someone and you go, and I also love thinking, like, who haven't I met yet in my life as well? Like, do you know what I mean? I genuinely feel like, I feel like Callie was one of those people. I was waiting to meet her, and I was waiting to take my career from like a good solo presenter, like a solid, safe pair of hands, to a more entertaining double-headed show that does more. People remember double acts on radio. We cut through more because you put both opinions across. You can give a male and a female opinion. People just know double acts, and it works well, and it's worked well for so long.
That's our hope for the pod, isn't it, Luce?
Yes, 100%. And it looks like, obviously, you have such a laugh on air. Obviously, I've been...
Oh, we do.
Since Hannah's introduced me to who you are, obviously, I've been nosying. And I have to say, talking of double acts, I saw the reel of, is it you as Taylor Swift and Callie as Travis?
trigger warning for you.
Had to be. It was very, very funny. What would be your most funniest and memorable moment with you and
Oh
Callie?
my God, there has been so many, which is cliche to say, isn't it? Like, everybody normally asks us about celebrities you've interviewed and celebrities you've met, and that is 1% of the job. And like, then it's never as great as you think. Like, the celebrity side is never as great as you think. Like, some of my favorite people that we've spoken to are never the most famous people.
Yeah.
Like, I still rank my favorite ever guest we've had on the show as Alison Steadman, aka Pam from Gavin and Stacey.
Oh,
like,
yeah, she's
she
so
was,
good, isn't she?
oh my God, she was just so lovely, you know. And then you speak to the big pop stars very occasionally, you're lucky to speak to these sort of people, or you meet them, and, you know, it all depends on how well they're going to play along. One that sticks out would be someone like Nick Jonas, who was just brilliant with us, just went with it, and they go with you, and sometimes they don't. But like, the celebrity side is not it. The moments that are the best, I think, are when I think my favourite moments are when you do something, you close the mic, you look at the response on WhatsApp as it is now, and you have a page of messages, you know, and you just go, that's resonated with the audience there. You didn't need a big guest. You didn't need to do anything fancy. You just needed a chat between the two of you that was fun, relatable, and all of a sudden, look, the audience have lit up. You can put so much effort into, you can sit around a boardroom table with producers and go, we can do this and we can do this and we could film this and we could bring this person in and this guest. That stuff is never the memorable stuff. The stuff that is remembered by the audience, it's those little moments. Like, this happened to me today, or, oh my God, you know, I think, like, to give you one example of that, of content that bangs, is one link we did a while ago, just sticks out as a favourite for me, was I'd gone on the air and I'd said, oh, I'm in a mood with one of my best friends. And she was like, oh, because we keep a lot of stuff back from each other, you know, until we go on the air so that we can have natural reactions.
Yeah.
So I said, I got a story about a friend that's pissed me off. And she's like, oh, great, juicy, I can't wait. I'm like, yeah, it could be a good topic. So I said, I was in my village at the weekend, and me and Ollie were walking the dog, and one of my best mates drove past me. I said, I thought, here we go. She's in the area. She's going to text me in a minute and be like, can we pop in for a cup of tea? So we went home, tidied the house a bit, because I think, oh shit, she's in the area. And I said, we sat and waited, and the phone never rang. I said, that's just rude. Like, do you think that's rude? She's like, oh my God, that's so rude. And I was like, yeah, that friend, mate, was you. Like, I saw you in my village, and she lives like the best an hour from me, and she was like dead in that moment. She was like, oh my God, yeah, I did drive like down your street at the weekend, like, and it completely left her mind. She was like, I was picking something up off Facebook Marketplace or something, you know. and like, those moments, those authentic moments, are actually what then people come up to you and talk to you about. Oh, when you got Callie with that, you're like, yeah, those are the moments. They're not the big, oh, when you interviewed blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No one remembers that, because that celebrity's talking to every other media outlet going, really, you know.
And I think it's the authenticity that you've just said then. When you were just talking, that's where my head was going, and that's exactly right. It's the authenticity, and that's exactly what you want to give to your listeners with your sexuality, with your personality, and you are absolutely nailing it. And I think that with Callie being that support space as well, just allows you to be even more your true self, which is resonating. And I think the celebrity side of things, it is really interesting for a lot of people. But I also think with the way social media is now and the way celebrities control more of their own content, you're seeing that kind of stuff just by looking at their Instagram page, because they're trying to get the same story across to you on Instagram that they are when they go on a radio show. So that takes away that thing, what happened years and years and years ago, when you would be like, oh, they've got that person on the show. That's taken care of now by them.
And we've got a lot less. The legacy media has got a lot less powerful, because all of a sudden every celebrity can open their phone and talk directly to their audience, whereas guess what? They never used to be able to. They needed us. So now we can't rely on that, really. We have to rely on each other. And when I first started working for Capital, for instance, it was very like tight links, you know, very short, quick, play another song. Now we're in a world of
commercial radio. Always.
Now we're in a world of streaming. So guess what? If you want back-to-back music, you got it. So, okay, we have to compete with that. We've also got podcasts that are a long-form content. So radio now has to sort of reinvent itself. And like, all of a sudden, when I was being told at the beginning, quick, you know, snappy, Josh, you know, introduce a song, tell me something about the song, get into it. No one cares about your life. No one cares about you. You know, I used to literally sit in meetings where you might tell something about your life and you'd be like, oh God, a boss is going to be like, no one cares. Now they mine your life for content as much as they can.
How the tables have turned.
You're like, oh, now you're interested in me, are you? Little old me, you want to know. But yeah, that is, that is what it is. And actually going back to Lucy, I remember, sorry, I didn't fully answer your question a minute ago about our wedding. I remember when they do say, it's an old thing in radio, and it'd be the same in pod, it'd be the same in any media really, nothing gets the viewers in like a good wedding, a good divorce, a good death. Like, do you know what I mean? So like all of a sudden we had a period on our show where I'd come back from a trip and I'd got engaged, and a psychic, this is how mad the show is, a psychic had come on at the beginning of the year, given a prediction about my life, which I never heard. I was out of the studio, gave Callie a prediction about my life, and she said, in the summer, Josh will get engaged.
Wow.
And she was like, he won't, because he doesn't want to get married. Like, he's very open about that. He's not going to get married. So that won't happen. In the summer, I came in and went on air live to her, guess what, I'm engaged. And she cried, and it was an amazing reaction. And she was like, and the psychic told us that was going to happen. And we had that whole journey of my wedding on the air, everything. The audience wanted to know, our core audience, not your passive listener, but our main listeners wanted to know every detail, like, we don't want to, who proposed to who, all of this. And I'm happy to share it. And I shared it. And then there's the planning of it. And then there's who's doing the stag, who's doing and you have all this amazing content. And it's amazing because you're like, if in doubt, talk about that. Like, oh, who are you going to upset by not inviting? We're doing it abroad. All of this comes into it. Now, if I wasn't comfortable or didn't feel I was allowed to share that side of my life, what a sad thing that massive part of my life, and if you listen to me on the radio, you ain't going to hear it. Now, to me, that's sad. And then literally off the back of that, Callie announced she was pregnant, and the show was just like, oh my God, the listeners were getting such this insight into our
Radar
life.
off the charts.
Like never before. Yeah, like never before. But the point is, when you get to your late 20s, early 30s, that's what all your mates are doing. And we're your mates if you're our listeners. And we're doing the same things that you're doing at this age. So that's lovely to be able to share that. But yet 10 years ago, as I say, Callie was right. I never even wanted it. Like, I didn't even think it would ever even be a thing for me to get married. So it's so amazing. I do feel so lucky that I have been able to, and been able to not just do it, but to share it with the audience and make it fun and make it just the same way that a straight presenter would. And that's a privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
And you spoke about, obviously, Capital. There's different parts now. There's podcasts, there's the streaming. I do have a question, because I hear they are very, I don't know, I'm going to say the word mint. But let's talk balls. We have Capital FM, because obviously it has the summertime ball, it has the wintertime ball. Are they as good as they sound? And how do me and Hannah get an invite and get to make sure they know?
If only you knew someone who worked there.
I know.
Well,
Yeah. Well, let's see. You sucked up to Callie. Let's see if she gives you a ticket, shall we?
Well, let's see if she is on our hit list.
Do you know what? I'm just getting ready for the Jingle Bell Ball very, very soon. I'm not sure when this will go out, but it's coming up very, very soon. So it's as amazing, if not better, than you would think. I mean, I've been to pretty much every one. I'm so lucky that I've gone from working there sort of behind the scenes to being a presenter on air. So you get to see sort of like the dressing rooms and the behind the scenes and all of that. And yeah,
the red carpets. I ignore your socials when you do these balls, by the way. I'm like, I can't see them all on a red carpet and be there and have all these things around him and enjoy the ball.
It is great. Yeah. I think what's so funny for us is, in more recent years, as maybe we've become more established or whatever, they've, like Hannah says, they've put us on the red carpet. And it's funny because those photographers have no idea who you are, but of course they have your names. They know your name. They don't know who you are. But so you might have gone. Ray might have gone and had her photos done just before you. You look on Getty Images afterwards, and you see like oh, right, yeah, there's like massive celebrities and then me. And it's amazing when they're shouting, you're like, Josh, look this way. I'm like, you don't know me and you don't want to look, but let's just all play along and we'll do it. But yeah, those moments are just surreal, to be honest, because again, I'm not famous like by any stretch. So it's just funny because in those moments you get to experience just a tiny bit of what it's like to be them, which I don't want, by the way, but it's funny to cosplay as it maybe for that 30 seconds. But the balls are amazing. I mean, Capital is just, in my opinion, and I'm biased and you'll think, oh, they pay his bills. When I was a kid, if you had told 12-year-old me at hospital radio, Josh, one day you're going to be a Capital presenter, I would have not believed you. For me, the two that were on that pedestal were Radio 1 and Capital. And I quickly learned, I did pilots and I did demos at Radio 1 and I wasn't the right fit for there. When I started working for Capital, the station I started on would have been called Red Dragon FM, and that was such a massive station to me when I was a kid. To then do the drive time show on that station, and I was on, I would do breakfast cover and all that kind of thing, and then to cover all of Wales as it's expanded, and to get to go to London, to be like, I'm a Capital presenter, like that's still mad to me every day that I get to do that, and a Capital is just a phenomenal station. Like, I am biased, of course I am. I work there and I put it together for a few hours of the day. I'm lucky enough to be in control of what's coming out those speakers, but it is just, if I owned a radio station, I'd want it to sound like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are presenters who have to work on a brand that they don't really love, and that could be me one day. Like, I could be playing songs that I don't love, or doing the content I don't love. Like, as a good presenter, you can do that, right? But I just feel on Capital, I can be just being myself is what works on that station. So yeah, it's great. And the balls are just testament to like just how bloody good Capital is. Like that they can get the biggest stars, the biggest stars come and perform for Capital. They literally fly them in from all over the world. So it's just incredible.
I think when you were saying that, the fact that you love the brand so much, again, it just links to how comfortable they allow you to be, and that testing of the water that you did all those years ago has made you be able to be your true self. And that's so lovely to hear you speak so highly of the way you work, essentially. And when you're saying it's surreal to be working there and be a Capital presenter, it's like surreal for me to have a friend who's a Capital presenter. Like, how much have I been banging on to you, Lucy, about it? I'm like, like, it is mad when like radio comes up, and then I kind of like forget that it was my job at one point, and then I'm talking about like who's in Capital. I'm like, I've got a friend who's a Capital DJ, and it's surreal for me, and I'm so proud of how you've got to where you are today, because it was that determination and that grit at 12 years old to write that letter, to say I want to work in radio, to connect the dots, like you said, of getting a microphone and being like, oh, Chris Moore does that, and all of that has brought you to where you are today at still a really, really young age. And then to be able but to be able to then like give that to listeners and be that role model that you have wanted to be, and you totally are, from everything that you're speaking about right now and everything that you do give to that show, you are absolutely telling every young listener who wants to be a radio presenter or wants to be in any job that it's okay to be you do you, be authentic, and tell the people you're comfortable telling who you really are. And you are absolutely providing that platform, and I just hope you know that.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, you've never actually said a kind word about me. So actually, that's, I don't really know how to respond to that, because that's never happened before, Luce, to be honest.
I'm a changed woman.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened now. She's a mum.
Baby.
There you go. That's what it is. Yeah, I see it. It happens to the best of us. It really does. No, honestly, genuinely, thank you so much. It's just a wild ride, this, isn't it? Life, like, it's just mad. Like, Lucy, your bloody journey. Like, do you know what I mean? Who'd have thought you'd be doing what you're doing? And obviously listen to your story, because getting to know you now, and it's just bloody inspirational. And everybody's got something, right? Hannah, your zest for life and the way you reinvent yourself, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go be a holiday. I remember when you left, I was so gutted, by the way, like so gutted. But like, you didn't just want to do it, you wanted to be the best. And then you're managing a team, and then you're the area manager, and then you're the big, like, that's just testament to you. Like, you go and you throw everything at it. There are those times when you also fell asleep on air. So that. There are the times where I had to wait outside in the car because you'd pulled some random bloke, and I'm picking you up from there. You know, there's all those. But what I'm saying is, Hannah, there's a journey, right? We're all on a journey.
It's a journey. And a very fun journey back in the day.
Back in the day, she's quick to say that. Back in the day.
Back in the day. I was going to say though, and we slightly touched upon this, and we have got a couple of like quick fire questions to give you, and I think that's going to sum up the sort of fun side of you. So make sure you give fun answers and don't let us down.
Okay.
So yeah,
you go on.
Right. Okay. So quick, no thinking about it. Biggest role model.
Scott Mills, I would say.
Okay. Favorite song on your playlist right now?
Olivia Dean, Man I Need, such a banger.
Love that song. Funniest interview guest you've ever had on, celebrity, non-celebrity, whoever it is.
Alison Steadman, Pamela from Gavin and Stacey. You're never ever going to get, for me as a huge fan of that show, ultimate, loved her.
Something your listeners would never guess about you.
Oh God, that's difficult because there really is no more tones. There really are no more stones to unturn, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. What would they not know about me? It's difficult because you do
Your
have to share
height.
so much to be alive. Okay, Hannah's got it. My height. That's one of the things people often say to me and Callie, my co-host. You're a lot smaller than we thought. And I'm like, so do I sound big? Maybe I do.
And for context, Josh, what are you, 5'6", 5'5", 5'7", 5'4"?
Same as me.
You're smaller than even I thought.
Yeah.
Shit.
All
okay.
right, that sounds so bloody surprised. 5'4", that's why.
Back in the day.
Well, why do you think I got my hair up like this? It's so I can add a couple of inches. But I am actually best people 5'4". Yeah, 5'4".
You've always had a bouffant, to be fair.
Yes.
Right. Summertime ball or Jingle Bell ball?
Summertime ball.
Guilty pleasure TV show.
Oh, Schitt's Creek. I just love. I'll put it on like a random episode. Just put it on. It's just so relatable. Such a funny show.
Fab. Pickle, Ollie, or you? Who is the boss at home?
Different times of day, different vibes. But the ultimate boss is Pickle. Like always. Like I'd die for that dog. Do you know what I mean? I'm just obsessed with her. So yeah, it's Pickle. To be fair.
Favorite Christmas song.
The Pogues' Fairy Tale in New York. It's so stereotypical, but it is the ultimate Christmas song.
Mm-hmm.
And last one piece of advice you would give your 12-year-old T-boy self.
Keep making the tea. Be you. Don't be afraid to be you. And never, ever give up and never take no. And you're going to get a lot of no's along the way. And I still get no's all the time. At 32, you get told no all the time. Doesn't matter. Keep going, but don't be disheartened.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm going to throw one more in there.
Okay.
Go on then, Luce. Wild card.
What's the biggest prank you've ever played on Ollie? I've seen you.
Biggest prank on Ollie. Oh my God, there's so many, but actually, I play pranks on people all the time. Callie, my co-host, Ollie, as my husband. One of the best ones we always talk about is when, like, if he pisses me off, I'm like a real, like, I'll seek revenge. Like, could be in a week, could be in a month. Like, I'll sit on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he gets me or something, I'm like, right. So Ollie absolutely hates toenails. So I was like, I'm a grow mine and I'm a cum.
I'm a gross.
So this is so gross. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was like, right, I cut like this big load of disgusting toenails and I slipped them in his wallet. And I just thought, there's a little ticking time bomb. And one day he like rang me and was like, what the hell? Like he'd been to the shop, like our shop down the end of our road at the house we lived at, emptied his wallet out onto the counter for some change. And just the most disgusting toenails had fallen out. And he was like, I've literally never been more embarrassed in front of the woman who runs shop that we actually know her as well. And he was like, then sweeping toenail. Like he looked like he was like some weird toenail collector. So that's probably one of the broadcastable ones, I could say. But yeah, I just love a prank. You got to love a prank, right?
And a couple more questions for you. First of all, right, you've done your radio, you've done your voiceover, you've done your TV. What is next in the world of Josh?
Oh my God. Outside of work, I'm sort of maybe thinking one day, I keep saying when I'm not as busy, but I'm always so bloody busy. But I would love to adopt possibly. So that would be something we would consider, definitely. But at the moment, I'm trying to renovate a house. I've got essentially like 2, maybe 3 jobs on the go, and I'm just like, it's just mad. But this is what I wanted. Like I wanted like a busy media career, and I've got it. So now I've got it. I shouldn't not want it, you know. So yeah, maybe that perhaps, but I still don't know. Like I've got friends who've adopted, and I've got really interested varying thoughts and stuff. But it's definitely something I would want to explore. If you're talking about career wise, I can't see myself not working in some sort of media, whether it's producing, editing, something like that. But yeah, maybe looking to have a family one day, but I still feel like a child. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, it's mad.
What's Pickle going to think about that though? Because I've seen you
So
do the
jealous.
reels. You've got like a ball or something the other day. You were putting on a tree together as your little tradition.
Essentially, she's my surrogate child. You know, when people are like, "Oh, that's your kid," I'm like, "Yeah, that bully is my kid." But like,
I'm going to sound like a stalker now. I've seen the slide video and everything.
No, I'm used to that all the time.
Doing your research, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm used to that. I feel like dogs teach you so much. Like they teach you, like, and Hannah, you know, with Loki, like they teach you how to like love something else that isn't your partner without being deep. Do you know what I mean? Like they actually teach you how to like care for something that needs you so bad. Yeah, like it needs you. They need you so bad, and they give you that unconditional love.
They do, and I truly believe that Loki gave us a massive sort of practice for Phoebe.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really do believe that. If me and Rob had gone straight into Phoebe, I don't think there'd be a wedding in January, let me tell you.
Yeah. But it actually annoys me when people are like, "Oh, it's just a dog," or like, "It's nothing compared to a kid." I'm like, yeah, it's how you treat that dog. Like, 100%. Unfortunately, I do treat it like a kid. But yeah, if you've got a dog, a working dog that's outside or whatever, then fair enough. It's nothing like a kid. But no, they are like your baby, aren't they? Really, for some people they are, and for Hannah, I know me, they are. But yeah, they teach you a hell of a lot. I think, like they really do, and they make you they test you as a relationship, like about a tiny bit compared to kids, but they do test you because you've got responsibility. You can't just go for a weekend away. You can't just stay out late. You can't. Do you know what I mean? You're not like, "Oh, should we stay out? You know, should we, keep drinking?" Oh no, she's got a dog at home. You know, you can't do it.
This is probably why I'm single then. I need to get a pet of some kind and then maybe not get catfished and then get the partner and then maybe get the family. Who knows?
I mean, who knows? We're working on it. 2026 is the year. We know about this and we were chatting about it on another episode. I think the last thing to finally ask you, and you are a fan of the pod, but we ask this to everyone. So who is Josh becoming now?
I thought about this before because I knew you were going to ask. I guess I'm just becoming a unapologetic, uber confident version of who I always wanted to be. I'm sort of more kind of happier than I ever thought I would be allowed to be in my personal life. Like, like I can't believe like I own a house, like which is so lucky in this day and age. I've got a husband. I can talk about saying, oh, maybe one day I'll adopt. Like those possibilities are like so mad to me, and so like amazing. And yeah, the version I am of myself is just unapologetically, completely authentically me. Every single day, in every job I take, in everything I do, in every gig I choose to take or not take as well. I've definitely found empowerment in turning things down. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have done that. Maybe 3 years ago, I wouldn't have done that. Whereas now I'm like, don't want to do that, not going to do it. Yeah. But that's because I'm in an amazing position. So yeah, is that a good enough answer? I'm just me, and I do what I want to do, which sounds really selfish, doesn't it? I don't mean it in a selfish way. I just do what I want to do.
What you've said in the episode, you're being authentically yourself. So if you don't want to do that, that's not who you are.
Yeah. So it's true. I think I've spent so long being people pleasing, and I still am a bit of a people pleaser, to be fair. But if I don't want to take a gig, or I don't want to do a job, or I don't want to be at something or whatever, I don't now, but a few years ago, I would have thought I better go because if I meet someone at that, they might give me this gig, or it'd be good to show your face at that. I don't do it anymore because I've just got much more fulfillment at home,
Yeah.
and that makes you a better presenter, by the way. I remember being told years ago, some of that feedback I mentioned that was very harsh from a big broadcaster, and it was like, Josh has zero life experience, and it was like, but Josh is a great presenter. We can see that in his reel, because all I'd done was spend my time learning to be a very solid professional presenter.
Yeah.
But what I hadn't done was lived on my own, had any relationships, had a breakup, had a lad's holiday, a group holiday. I hadn't done any of that because all I'd done was spend my time learning to be a presenter. But then guess what? The best presenters have got loads of stuff going on that they can bring to the show. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. Life makes you a better content creator, really.
Yeah,
Amazing.
no, and I hope everyone's got a real taste of Josh as well. Like I say, it's not all about radio. There's much more underneath it. So yeah, thank you for being so open and generous, obviously, with your story. I think we could have gone into a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, we're already on over an hour.
I actually feel not worthy, I think I said this to you in the messages before. I don't really feel worthy coming on because I haven't got that sort of, like you, Lucy, with that episode I listened to, there is no sort of big thing. I don't feel worthy really even putting myself in the ranks of people that you want to talk to. So I'm very honoured that you've asked me to come on, and I'm a fan of you guys, and I just know your podcast will go from strength to strength. So yeah, good luck. Congrats.
Well, it will when you share it with that blue tick on your name.
You will get a little invoice for that as well.
No, but you are absolutely worthy, because everything we've spoken about your sexuality, and you are 100% helping people be their true self. So you are the perfect guest for our pod, and it's everything we want it to be: real talk, real inspiration, and that is you. So thank you so much for taking the time, because as you've already mentioned, you are very busy. So we really appreciate you coming on and speaking with us.
It's all good. And Lucy, if you want to do a separate follow-up on some of the dirt I've got on Hannah, then just let me know.
Yeah, I think we can get
where I
that
am.
in for sure. Yeah.
Thank you both.
No, and on that, I'll say if you've enjoyed this episode, do share it out. And again, just like and subscribe, get us in those charts. And again, subscribing, as we always mention to my dad, doesn't mean you have to pay for anything. We just have to pay for Josh. It just makes sure you get the next episode when they next come out. So yeah, that's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me. Thank you so much for listening.
And bye from...
And goodbye from me. Sorry, I'm just used to being a guest now. I don't want to be a presenter again, all right? So, bye.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.